Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here to the start of this week's Fan Fridays, and I'm actually really excited to watch this team play out. We have Pokemon that we don't see that often, and for some reason, I just realized I'm like overly excited about the Gorebyss. We haven't seen Gorebyss in so long, but also I feel that's one of just the best Pokemon for sweeping Battle Spot. You come in there, you have like a Focus Sash, you go for the Shell Smash, and then you just give stats and then win. So you can do a lot of pretty good stuff with that. Also, it's a decent sweeping Pokemon in its own right. So we're going to see how this one ends up playing out, as this is just going to be the battle. So Nidoking comes in with that Sludge Wave. Nidoking with Sludge Wave can be devastating. Gorebyss takes a big hit, but still survives, and then gets the Shell Smash. What is that Gorebyss made of? Oh my goodness. Like, yeah, it doesn't have a lot of, health, but is that, like, max health on the Gorebyss? I don't pay attention to those stats. So then we're going to get everything, and not a Focus Sash, but it's a White Herb? Oh, this is where things get interesting, because we have Pangoro, because we have Physical, so we gain +2 everything. So we can go Dragalge for Special, Pangoro for Physical, and just win with whatever you need to. Dragalge, it's a Special Defense tank, so Nidoking doesn't get to do anything to it. And as we can see, Sludge Wave comes in. Should be a big hit, but it's not very effective, and then resisted by Dragalge's Special Defense stat. And then it has the Aqua Tail. I'm not familiar with that tech. Could you please explain? Like, okay, so Aqua Tail, we got a Physical Dragalge. Then what's the point of Pangoro if you have Physical Dragalge? Either way, it's going to be Dragonite coming in now. And the response is going to be a Z move. Yeah, Dragonite doesn't get to survive. Like, devastating Drake onto a Dragon-type Pokemon is pretty bad. Like, that's devastating. That's a KO. But then the +2, doubling the damage on Dragalge, is just going to nullify the multi-scale, and it's just done. So devastating Drake comes in. I'm guessing Z Outrage then, if it's like, yeah, Z Outrage is way too much power. Dragonite dies through the ability. Whew, that's brutal. And then the opponent brings in Gengar. I'm guessing the battle just ends right here then. So that's going to be Dragalge with the Outrage. So yeah, just choosing the Outrage, going for the big damage. I didn't notice the animation. That's actually hilarious, because Dragalge just like slaps its tail like, be gone, GG, get out of here. So Shadow Ball from the Gengar, Dragalge actually tanks it, and then I guess it's just going to be clean all through this. Focus Sash, the only reason Gengar survives, and then Dragalge throwing down another Outrage. And one thing that's interesting to consider is Outrage has been buffed. So just even more reliable right there, and big damage, good stab, high base power. All right, that was cool. I was like not disappointed, because I got all that Gorebyss hype up there, and it looks like you don't even need the Focus Sash if you're statting it right. Interesting. Alright, so we have another battle. It looks like we're just sticking to the Dragalge combo, and this time we're actually leading with a different Pokemon, Roserade. Unfortunately for all you Roserade fans out there, not as hype about this Pokemon. Like, I've never been sold on people using Roserade, even since like Gen 4 or something. That never appealed to me. Didn't really see the potential. I know I've made like strategy guides, and I think it's been on Fan Fridays before, but overall it's just like I don't get excited when I see it, and other people might understand the potential a little better. Give me a Roserade submission that changes my mind, and then maybe there could be like something there. So Shadow Ball from the Roserade hits Aegislash, pretty solid amount of damage, and that will be a critical hit though. Even, like, that's understandable. Like, I'm not going to hate on Roserade for that one, because a lot of super effective hits just don't even phase the Aegislash. And that's going to be a free Swords Dance into the Aegislash, into the stance change. If Roserade does not have that Focus Sash, because we know it's not on the Gorebyss, then things are going to go really badly, and then Roserade will be one-shot. Frail right there, plus, like, that's just the +2 with Stab, and then Aegislash wrecking everything. But Gorebyss is going to be the response. So that's going to spice things up quite a bit. As we can see that Gorebyss goes for the Hydro Pump, gets the outspeed on the Aegislash, and then finds the KO. I'm guessing Aegislash saw Gorebyss and then thought it wants to, like, Shell Smash or go for some kind of setup, and then just gambled it instead of just trying, and, like, maybe it also thought that that's where the Focus Sash was. So maybe kind of out mind gaming the opponent right there. So Zapdos comes in with the pressure, doesn't really mean much, but uses Thunderbolt, super effective hit onto the Gorebyss. Gorebyss will actually, wow. I'm actually wondering what this Gorebyss is. It doesn't have the max amount of hit points, so I'm guessing it's not hit point invested. And then it had enough speed to outspeed the Aegislash, like, so I'm guessing that it has speed investment as well to make the most use out of that Shell Smash into the White Herb. Because Gorebyss can still sweep on its own, but opts for the Baton Pass. So yeah, White Herb Baton Pass, fairly necessary at the same time, because now you can bring in a Pokemon like Dragalge into almost anything, and it should be able to survive pretty well. Zapdos going for that Ancient Power. Actually, I can appreciate that tech. I can appreciate that tech right there, because it's going down no matter what when you break it down like that. So you just throw down the Ancient Power, and maybe you get plus to everything. That as a finishing move is neat. It's kind of like that Fell Stinger idea. So now we're going to see Dragalge come in with the classic that we've already seen. Z Outrage at +2. Zapdos is a tanky Pokemon. That's a bulk meanie right there. And yeah, I don't see it surviving this one. So that's going to be monstrous hit. And what do? Once that Baton Pass happens, Dragalge wins. And it's a physical Dragalge too. So it looks like it doesn't even need that extra damage. I was actually looking at Dragalge's stats. So I checked Gorebyss' stats and Dragalge's stats in the middle of this, and I was actually kind of surprised. Dragalge has a very low attack, and yet still able to kind of do this filthy stuff right here. From what we've seen so far, it has really good coverage. It's also beating up on frail Pokemon like the Gengar and the Greninja. But I'm confused by the idea of physical Dragalge. Actually, let me go and bring up a screen region here really quick to show you guys what I'm talking about. Because it doesn't get physical poison. There's no poison jab on Dragalge, so Sludge Bomb's going to be better, and you're also losing on coverage. Like, it can use Hydro Pump, it can use Scald, it can use all kinds of other things. So really, what I'm looking at here is we have the Z Outrage, we have Aqua Tail, and then I'm wondering, like, okay, Play Rough, because that'd actually be a nice little bit of coverage. But then what's the other move? So maybe it has Surf, maybe it has something else, maybe it has just like the coverage on the Thunderbolt. So I don't really see much else physical going on with it, but it's still an interesting thing. Also for the stats, only has a 75 on the attack and 97 on special attack. So getting quite a bit more out of the special attack if it did go for it. Gets into a decent speed range. I'm guessing if it's max speed invested, starts to find outspeeds against up to like 135 base speed Pokemon something. And then we have just the natural special defense carrying Dragalge over. So let's get into some more battles, see how this ends up breaking down. And then, yeah, it's crazy, but it works. Like, that's just the power of Gorebyss coming through, and then Dragalge just styling on everyone. Wait a second, I was wrong. Dragalge actually gets a physical poison move. Oh man, that +2 gunk shot with stab, and then the outrage, that's just dealing with so much damage from Dragalge. So yeah, I forgot about that. Like, it doesn't show the move tutor. So actually, never mind. Now this moveset makes sense. We have gunk shot, outrage, Aqua Tail, and then likely the Play Rough. So let's see how this next battle ends up playing out. And I think I've already repeated myself enough because, yeah, we just watched Gorebyss set up, and then we go for the win. So things might get interesting from there. And then, yeah, I'm just gotta go through the beginning of this. Sometimes we start getting to like 3, 4, 5 submissions from the same thing. Gets a little tricky right there. But then Gorebyss comes in, and how's it going to set up against the Spinda? Spinda's a wild Pokemon. We see it do shenanigans with the Spinda swap in doubles, but what is Spinda looking to do in singles? Shell Smash from the Gorebyss, going to be able to just get those stats, and then that means that Spinda seems completely unthreatening. Might go for the Teeter Dance and Cheese. That'd be pretty interesting, but I don't know what Spinda's going to do. So Hypnosis. Alright, gets the Hypnosis. That's something. I don't know what Spinda's going to do to capitalize on that, but that's a gamble right there. Just like, yeah, leave with that Hypnosis Spinda, win the game, and then Teeter Dance. Okay. Making life hard for the opponent right now. Definitely going to be a frustrating little Pokemon because if you wake up, chance you get yourself in confusion. Until you wake up, you're still asleep. And then Spinda's going to come in with that Quick Claw and then get a Psychic down. So actually has damage as well and hits not that fantastically. So solid lead, but I didn't really feel it on the finish right there. And then confusion doesn't happen, sleep doesn't happen, Baton Pass happens in the end, and that's going to be Dragalge coming in. And does the battle just end like immediately after that one? Let's watch. Ooh, double Quick Claw. Giving it the Hypnosis. Dragalge will avoid it though. That's just the accuracy of Hypnosis, shutting it down, and confusion Baton Passes. Right. That's unlucky. And then at the +2, just hitting itself a little bit more. But there, oh man, that's extra unlucky. Then the Psychic from the Spinda. Fortunately not at -1 because of White Herb. But yeah, that's just like unlucky turn of events right there. Snaps out of the confusion. Gunk Shot will land this time. So finally still breaking through the hacks. And then Spinda finally goes down after that. That's going to be rip right there. So yeah, the Spinda, it had moments, but it didn't have any. It doesn't have the stats. It doesn't have the moveset to follow through. Just kind of chipping away with the Psychic as Tyrantrum shows up. And then just to make sure Tyrantrum goes away without any other problems, just going for that Z Outrage. And it is good to use the Z Outrage. Like, I like the way that this breaks down, because what you do is you Baton Pass into it, you find the coverage of that first Pokemon, you get the KO, you use the Z Outrage, and then the last Pokemon, you just chip it down with Outrage. That way you don't have to worry about confusion, don't have to worry about anything going wrong, and you just put down the biggest damage possible against one of the opponent's more, like, mid-battle threats. And then Gunk Shot's just insane KO damage anyways. But Vion comes in, and pretty sure you can't get shiny Pokeball pattern on the Vion, right? I'm going to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's hacked. And then coming from the full shiny team, of course. So we're leading off Fan Fridays in that true Fan Friday style. Corvidance comes through. He wants it. +1 on that Vion. Does it find the outspeed now? Is a question. Focus Sash, Corvidance pretty strong. And then going into the Draining Kiss on Dragalge. But Dragalge, yeah, it has enough bulk to survive that. You know, non-stab on Vion. Didn't get that finish and didn't have the coverage for the Dragalge, so Outrage comes through once again, and that will be the KO right there. So let me do a quick little bit of research right now, because I'm pretty sure that Vion's event exclusive, and you can't like stop reset it for shiny or anything. Yep, Pokeball Vion was never given away as shiny, so that is a hacker right there. And you know what? I really wanted to call it on the Tyrantrum, then people would have gotten mad on me, but it turned out that they were a hacker anyways. And I mean, you can just tell the trends that they're more likely to be hacking when their full team is shiny. Who knew when you're playing with the odds that are 1 in thousands, and then multiple 1 in thousands and stuff, and then we're in a community filled with hackers. I go over this spiel a lot, but you guys understand it by now, and it seems like hacking is on the rise. We have illegal Pokeballs on the top of Coco. We're seeing more and more shiny Pokemon every week on Fridays, like full shiny teams every week on Fan Fridays, and then just capping it off with the confirmed hackers. So nice. Dragalge hacker wreckage.